is Group Therapy 1 for post-traumatic stress disorder. I have worked with each of you on an individual basis for some time now, and I feel that we're at the point where we can begin coming together and sharing our stories and coping measures to help support each other. What I'd like to do in this session is have y'all introduce yourselves to each other, share your stories, share some of the things that y'all are going to attempt to cope with this. Margie, if you want to get us started.
My name is Margie. I committed a crime when I was 16 years old. I lived in a bad area. Gangs were very prevalent, and I really wanted to be a part of this gang. They were very powerful, and I was attracted to bad boys. Fell in love with one after hanging out with them for about 6 months. They informed me that in order for me to stay with them, I had to do an initiation. I thought it would be drugs, stealing, something like that, getting us all high. But then they informed me that my initiation would be to kill a woman, a gang rival's girlfriend. They were all hyped up on it and got me excited about it and made me feel important and special and got me a gun and showed me how to use it. They figured out what this girl's schedule was. And on Wednesdays, she went and cleaned house for her grandmother. Grandmother lived out in the country. So that night we got really high and we hid behind the trees. And when her car came out from her grandmother's house, I shot at her windshield, and all I remember is the blood, her windshield turning red, her car just hitting a tree. Everybody was excited, you know, they said I did so good, but I've never been the same. The cops questioned me and I confessed right away. I did 20 years, but I've never been able to get married, have children of my own. I've never felt like I was worthy of living a normal life. I have a hard time dealing with 4th of July and fireworks, sound of a car backfiring, violent movies. I don't cope well. I don't feel worthy.
What are some measures that you are using to try to cope with this?
The drugs, prescription antidepressants. I take Effexor. I take Xanax for the anxiety, and it may control it to a point, but I think my memories are just overwhelming, and I still just don't cope well.
Okay. We'll come back to that then. Carrie.
Okay, my name is Carrie. About 6 months ago, I was mugged in a parking lot, walking to my car. I was beaten severely, several fractures, skull fracture, multiple fractures all over my body. I was hospitalized. I was in a coma for about 2 weeks. I can't leave my house. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I think someone's going to hurt me again. I can't get any sleep. When I do finally go to sleep, it's very little. I wake up from nightmares of someone beating me. I can't go to work. I'm not able to hold a job. I'm so scared if I leave, someone's going to hurt me.
Now, what are some things that you are doing to try to cope with that?
I take Xanax. I take a lot of Xanax. It seems the more I take, it's like every day I have to take more and more. And it just doesn't seem to be helping anymore.
We'll discuss that too. Chelsea.
I'm Chelsea. I served in the war for 3 years. I just have problems now. Like some of these ladies, I have problems sleeping. I take Seroquel at night to try to sleep, but when I'm asleep, I just relive the war. I can't go into crowds, especially where children are, because I see the children's faces of the children that I killed. Definitely can't do loud noises. I have anger outbursts at my family. I've started abusing drugs and alcohol. The doctors have me on the Prozac for a mood stabilizer to try to stabilize my anger. But I just find myself abusing the alcohol and drugs more and more to cope.
Carrie?
My name's Carrie, and I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time of 9/11, and I was at home that day, and I remember seeing the planes hit the towers on the news and realizing that my husband was at work in the Pentagon, and I could not get hold of him for 7 hours. So for 7 hours I was in fear. I had no communication with anybody for 4 days because the phone lines were shut down. The highways were completely stopped. And although he was fine, we lost 3 friends in that day. And there are days now where every year I relive the events and how I felt. And I panic in the car if I can't get hold of somebody. If traffic stops somewhere, I panic thinking something's happened. If the phones are ever down, I relive it all over again. And I can't go by a government building without feeling like I'm in fear. I don't want to go visit buildings, and but I mean, we've been doing therapy, and my family was there, and they live the same thing, but there are just days when I just feel like I just can't cope with it.
What are some ways that you are trying to cope with it?
Well, like everybody else, I think we've all kind of done therapy on our own. I do take Zoloft to try and help, but I'm getting there.
Okay. Well, it appears a common theme with each one of y'all is, we're all experiencing flashbacks to the events specific to y'all. And y'all, to an extent, are experiencing phobias, be it of a crowd or of buildings. And as far as coping measures, it seems y'all are all using medications, particularly antidepressants. So I think we've reached a good level here in our first session. In our next session, we will discuss coping measures that do not involve medications. We'll discuss those all together. Y'all can continue to help support each other. And the coping measures will individualize to each specific individual one of y'all. And I think we've done well today. I'll see y'all again in 2 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.